All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. Very good. We're going to call this meeting of the Effingham County Board of Commissioners to order at 5:07. Small delay there. We have an indication that we're given by one of the commissioners tonight. Is that okay? Or do we have indication by our guests as well? Stephanie's indication and pledge, or is this pledge?
Just a pledge.
Okay. If everyone would rise for the invitation, I'll ask Mr. Mark to the Commissioner to give us an indication this evening. When we have a special guest, I'll let you introduce her, and she can lead us in our pledge of allegiance. Thank you for being here.
Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for all you do and all you've done for us, Lord. And we pray that tonight the decisions we make and the things we hear tonight are done in a just manner, Lord. I pray that what we see and do and the actions that we take are done in a just manner for both the county and the people here represented tonight, Lord. I pray for blessings upon everybody, Lord, and I pray for the wisdom that we need to get to do a good job for everyone, Lord. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Commissioners, tonight we have Miss Emily Gerald, who I've had a very pleasant conversation with. She's an outstanding young lady. She's an 11th grade dual enrolled at Savannah Tech, and she's the vice president at Community Outreach. And we have some questions.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, and we appreciate you being here. I just want to start out, I just want to give the agenda because Mr. Rogers is afraid not to think about being around this table. I just appreciate the board and their fear of God and how they support the communities and decisions you make. Thank you for being here. We have our agenda before us. I believe there's some adjustments to our agenda. Stephanie, you want to go over those adjustments to our agenda?
Yes, sir. We have a few changes to the agenda tonight. So under new business number 12, that is the annexation on a property on Highway 21 and 3rd Street that is to be removed at the request of the city of Springfield. Under new business number 17, I'm sorry, I understand we're keeping that on. Number 17, we're done, okay. All right, under planning board presentments, items number 12 and 13, the applicant has requested this item be removed. And if we can backtrack to item number 5 and number 6 under planning board presentments. This is a rural business use for Mr. Rhett Rosinski. I received written confirmation from his attorney requesting that this item be tabled to the October 15th meeting.
Does that actually need to take it on the agenda then and come up when it comes to it?
You can or you can do it now, but I would just recommend at the time of presentments to make the audience aware that the item has been removed, so you can take that action now.
And
What was that date again, table to?
October 15th,
Okay.
Number 5 and 6.
number 5 and 6, yes, sir.
All right, we need, that's all the agenda items corrections?
Yes, sir.
So if I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented with the following corrections: removal of item number 12 in the new business, removal of item number 12 and 13 in the public hearing.
So moved.
Oh, that's not it.
That's,
And 5 and 6,
Number-
put off to October.
Right,
no,
number
we're going
5
to do
and
that.
6.
I was going to do that with you.
Oh, okay.
You said
Okay.
we'll do it. I'll make it simple. So
Okay.
we have a motion of second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. We have the agenda. When we come to that item, we'll table at the very beginning of the public hearings. I'll let the audience know that those will be tabled tonight.
Okay, yes, sir.
All right. Consideration to approve the August 20, 2019 Road Commission meeting minutes and the August 23rd through 25th, 2019 Board retreat. Motion?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion, Mr. Lopez, second, Mr. Deloach, to approve. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, no. Motion carries. Very good. We'll get into our agenda. Public tonight, we welcome you. Ask that you make comments for the agenda items only, if you would. And if you can keep those comments to 2 or 3 minutes, that will help anyone who wants to speak to an item to be able to have time to speak to those items. All the documents for this meeting are located in the clerk's office, also on our website. I hope everyone's had a chance to review those and is well prepared for participation in any item you'd like to participate in. And so with that, we're moving to our consent agenda. There are 2 items. Consideration to approve item number 1, safety discount verification for group self-insurance workers, compensation fund, GSIWCF, and the Interlock Risk Management Agency, ARMA. And number 2, consideration to approve to renew the agreement with the eGPS Solutions and the eGPS base station at the administrative complex.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Kiefer, second by Mr. Deloach, to approve the consent agenda as presented. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That seems to keep it. Even Deloach, that's right, second Deloach. Anyone opposed, say no. Motion carries. And so we move into the old business. First item of old business is the second reading. Consideration to approve the second reading of an application by Jones Brothers Investments, LLC, to rezone 55 acres out of 102.9 acres located at Webb Road and McCall Road, AR1 to I1, map number 390, parcel number 20 in the 4th district. And do we have a motion for the second reading?
Make a motion to second reading.
Okay, we'll get the second and we'll give you a chance to quick read your motion.
All right.
And do you have a copy of that?
I gave him a copy.
The previous,
Of the
well,
previous.
yeah,
Let's read that, please. Read that, please. So Mr. Walker's making the motion, he's going to read his motion.
I'm going to make a motion to approve with 6 stipulations, and I'm going to read each one of it, and I'm going to ask questions to the commissioners. Lot needs the requirements of the I-1 zoning district. Number 2, site development plans comply with the Effingham County Water Resource Protection Ordinance and the Stormwater Management Local Design Manual. I'm sorry, if there's any questions, I'm sorry. Okay. Number 3, all wetland impacts permitted by the United States Army Corps of Engineers. All good. Number 4, subdivision plan must be approved by the Health Department and the zoning office. Y'all want to come in. Number 5, follow the requirements of section 3.17, and that is excavation, mine, ponds, and fields of land and/or state, federal, jurisdictional waters or wetlands. That covers a lot of stuff, but it's necessary. Number 6, days and hours of operation be from Monday through Saturday, from sun up to sundown, closed on Sundays. That's my motion.
I'll second that.
All right, we're going to have a second. Let's have a brief discussion to see how it affects some of the ones that were not on the previous, just so we understand. Is there any need to include must meet the buffer requirements for industrial with no variance?
Pardon?
Is there any need, they don't hear previously, must meet buffer requirements for industrial with no variance? I'm not sure why that need to be on there. You gotta meet the buffer requirements, don't you?
Yeah.
So that's really a kind of just redundant statement, isn't it?
And I think the buffers that they've already
Yeah,
suggested
It's in the middle, yeah.
more than that.
Is that any motion to adopt?
That was not in the motion.
I'm okay with that being left off there because in the.
Yeah, that's
It's redundant. It's redundant. with what
That's redundant.
All right, and then, sent a copy of the state mining permit, making sure there's the zoning administrator prior to working.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah, I'm good. I'll make one comment just for the, this is public here. The commission is looking at a couple of things we're doing our trucking, which we don't think will impact this business because the dirt hauling, we think the weight and the axle is going to be fine. We're relooking at our ordinance to make it more, as we heard comments last time, that'll make us better be able to respond to the truck and the side on the road. Once again, I don't think it's going to affect the dumping business from the people who have knowledge of that. Other thing is we are looking to redo the courthouse addition to McCall Road and improve McCall from that all the way down to 21. That's a project we've got to get done. It's a bad intersection there where courthouse comes into McCall. And it seems to me unreasonable to ask for a traffic study and add lanes when we may be very well putting a third, fourth lane, whatever, from wherever we bring the new courthouse in all the way down to 21. So I couldn't in my mind justify asking, well, that's just what we consider another lane, and we might be tearing that lane up here the next year or so, restructuring that courthouse for better safe access. So those are two of the things we heard last time that we have spent some time to review and study and address. Even though it's a public hearing, we'll make sure we get that out there, and we just ignore the concerns that we're looking at those public safety issues. So we have a motion, we have a second, it's another discussion by the board, I'll entertain a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. It carries. All right, item 2, consideration to approve the fire protection service agreement with the city of Dayton.
You skip one. Number one.
Mr. Chairman, I want to ask a question on that last, on the Burns reading. All right, so are we done with that now, or do we have to do another reading?
I checked the attorney, Mr. Logan came up with the motion, said if we leave 1 or 2 items off like the traffic study, things they had on there before, are we okay? And he said we are.
Oh, so they're good.
So that's why I took time to read those requirements to make sure they're in the record, that they've got the. So everybody's before us.
Don't misunderstand.
Yeah, the traffic study just thinks like this, and so we don't have to do that. Okay. All right, so yes, we're in new business. I skipped consideration to approve the second reading of the ordinance to amend chapter 66, section 66.33, waste disposal of the Effingham County Code ordinance.
I have a question on that, and I overlooked it the last one. I know that's the second reading. On the first page, 1 of 2, it says construction sites, waste material, and the first 2 words is all landowners. If I got a dumpster in my yard and there's trash hanging out of it, can somebody write me a ticket?
I'm going to have to, our zoning director called in sick, and so there's a limitation on the questions that I'm going to be able to have the information on, so some of it I'm going to have to get back to you on. The plain language of it, I do not believe makes exemptions for individual property owners versus new construction. And so by reading it, I'll say it looks like it does not make that exemption. So if you're an individual property owner, yes, you would fall under the same guidelines as a home builder or anyone else on construction.
In other words, you're taking our rights away on our own property. That's like telling somebody that they got to cut grass in the yard. That's my land. If I want to dump and set on it and let it overflow, I pay taxes on it, it belongs to me. So you messing with our rights there, this needs to come off of there, or we just we just cancel the whole thing.
Okay,
This is not, I'm not going to vote for this.
I would hope these ordinances would not be used to ticket people, but to encourage them to think that warning should be given. We shouldn't be these right tickets every time. I think this is for those construction sites, and maybe to keep messy and keep dangerous. But if I had a box in my house and it was in our county, I should have cleaned it up, but it should get a warning, they should go out and give me a citation on that. But you don't have somebody with a dumpster right next to you that's got mattresses hanging out right outside.
I'd be careful taking somebody's rights, but making sure you preserve others' rights.
Yes.
Because you're affecting other people's rights.
Yeah, I'm okay with it, because we don't use
On
it
the
to punish
contractor
people.
side, if he owns that property,
Keep it clean.
Yeah, but that should be
same,
all right.
same
In the
thing.
section 3.8, it lists construction sites as the heading. So it says the heading is construction sites.
So if the
I don't have no
landowner,
problem on it, but if I got one in my
That's what it
house,
says. In section 3.8B, construction sites, and then under there, all landowners construct.
because the landowner is responsible for his construction site.
Yeah,
I think that is what it means. I think you're
exactly.
exactly
So
right.
it's-
I know
That's the
that.
heading.
Yeah,
I might have one in my yard, I'm putting them something in.
Then it wouldn't fall.
But are you a
If it's not a
construction
construction site.
Yeah,
Pardon?
If it's not a construction site, it doesn't apply.
that's not going to
That's not what it says.
If you look at the heading of
And
it,
he says that that's part of it too.
No, he said
All
he did.
landowners.
He said he did.
yeah, but that's, look right up above there, Rich, it says, construction
Look at
sites.
section 3.8B.
I know that.
Okay.
So it's listed in that heading, so it would say anything under construction sites would be that.
So all landowners don't count on them.
Not unless they have a construction site. If you're building a new
It's
house,
not,
as a landowner, you are
or if
responsible.
you're doing a remodel, then
Yeah.
yeah, if you just got a thing on your land.
Let's let the attorney.
Let's let me give an interpretation of what I
Yeah, I did. The reason landowner's in there is because you're gonna get a contractor that says, well, I'm not paying you. And the one way to get it paid is it's the landowner's property, and that's on those construction sites. I hear what you're saying. If you used to have a dumpster on your property, it just depends what you're doing. I'm sure there are other ordinances we have that could be enforced against anybody that's not keeping their property in a safe condition and a healthy condition. So, but the intent of this was a construction site, not only deal with the contractor, but deal with the landowner as well, the one that owns the property.
But it has to be a
Okay.
construction site.
It's just the heading.
They may be building their own homes.
It has to be a construction
Doesn't be
site.
the same.
So it's just not all landowners, but the dumpster. There may be other ordinances that apply to that. This one's gonna be a landowner with a construction site. They're building a house, they're building a barn, they're building something on this construction site.
And I would construe a construction site to be a site that is under a current building permit, probably.
Yeah. And I totally agree. Mr. Lowe, does that help?
Yeah, if that's right, but if it's not, I don't agree with it.
Well,
Take the
I'm
rights
trying to
away
get in
from it.
trouble.
It deals with construction sites. That's the
Yeah.
purpose of the ordinance, because there were issues with construction sites. That was the reason why it was done.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, so with that understanding, do you have a motion to approve?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Burdette, second Mr. Floyd to approve. Minutes alternative 1 on that. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, no. It carries. Item number 2, consideration to approve a fire protection service agreement with the city of Dayton.
Good evening, Clint Hodges, Fire Chief. Over the past few months, we've been working back and forth with the City of Guyton as far as the provision of fire services within the city itself. The city has approached the county asking to become the primary provider within the city. The agreement that's being proposed is the equipment and the fire station will be the responsibility of Effingham County. So we won't be utilizing their station nor equipment. We utilize county stations and equipment. Additionally, there's in the plans a fire station to be constructed within the general area of Guyton, whether it be in the city limits or shortly outside of it. And that'll be the primary responder for that area. Additionally, even if this contract is severed within 12 months, it'll still be a county-operated fire station. So it'll serve as a benefit either way, even if the contract is ended. It's got a 12-month, it's a 12-month agreement with automatic renewals unless it's, there's 90-day notice by either party. The fire fees are equivalent within the city to the county, so that money will just be given to the county or collected by the county itself.
Clint, I know you worked real hard, and so does Commissioner Deloach on this. We appreciate your efforts to support our sister city and our constituents getting the highest fire, which is now an ISO 3.
Yes, sir.
Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
So we are lowering insurance premiums and continue to give very better service. Any other question, discussion? Have a motion to approve.
Make a motion to approve alternative number one.
Second.
Motion, Mr. Lopez, second, Mr. Deloach, to approve alternative number one. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Motion carries.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Chairman, on that item, I have a question, please, sir. So we're approving it as it was presented by the city of Dayton, Mr. Chairman? Are we approving that agreement as it was presented by the city of Dayton with the changes noted? We're approving it as
Yes, we struck item 15.
Right.
And we left item 16.
okay, I needed to hear that for a minute. Okay, thank you.
Steph, get Chris down here, my computer.
In this motion, just make sure it's official. Mr. Lopez, you'll accept it with the changes that the city of Dayton made.
Yeah, we struck, or I say the city of Dayton wanted to strike, or we asked them to strike item 15, which they wanted to have their fire department operating at the same time, but Clint went the extra mile and talked with, was ISO representative
ISO and the state.
and the state, and confirmed that they do not recognize secondary fire department, because in order to be recognized as a fire department, you have to have a primary zone, and that's who's recognized as a fire department. So now, under this agreement, we would be have a primary zone at Effingham County Fire Department. So it really did not make any sense to have item 15 there. And there were some questions about item 16, about service delivery. We had a conversation, or Tim and I had a conversation with the mayor and Councilman Collins. And one of the reasons they wanted to leave item 16 in there was, if for whatever reason, some of the past money that may have or may not have been owed at any point in time, the county wanted to go back and talk about that. There was reference to the previous service delivery agreement, and that we could go back and have a clear, I guess, connection back to that situation. So that's why we leave item 16. Sorry, I was a little long-winded there, but I've got a lot more educated on ISO here recently.
So, Mr. Lopez, you're good with the motion still with those 16
Yeah.
added 15?
Yes.
And then Mr. Welch, your second, so good. Must all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. So it's on the record. Thank you. All right. Item number 3, consideration to approve contract with Better Business Solutions and issue of purchase order for audit and valuation for personal property. Somebody's fixing to get easy to find.
This is just an annual contract with Trailer Business Solutions. They do our audits for us on business personal property accounts that are valued at $50,000 and more. And it's also for us to audit cell towers in the county for this year.
Any questions from the board? We have a motion to approve alternative 1.
Second.
Mr. Floyd, second Mr. Loper to approve alternative 1. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Motion carries. Thank you. Item number 4, consideration to approve a resolution to set fire fees for the year 2020.
Good evening, Christy Carpenter, Finance Director. Each year, the board approves a resolution to set the fire fees collected. We're recommending the fire fees remain the same. The breakdown of those fees is in your packet. So staff is recommending alternative 1.
Any questions or discussion?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Loper, second Mr. Deloach to approve alternative number 1. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Motion carries. Item number 5, consideration to approve a resolution to set the
That's
sanitation.
just put on
5 and 6.
5 and 6.
No.
Oh, that's on.
That's the planning board.
That's on the.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Try again, number 5, consideration
Yeah, you're
to
right.
approve a resolution to set the sanitation fees for the year 2020.
Yes, each year the board also approves a resolution to set the sanitation fees. We are also recommending that those fees remain the same, and that breakdown is also in your packet. Staff recommends alternative number 1,
There's been no increase by our provider.
not since the last one.
Is that balance?
I think there's a little extra for our administrative costs of
There
handling
is.
the billing collection costs. We actually cover all the costs. Just want to see that number.
$4 a week.
Yeah, motion for alternative 1.
One other minute. In the copy that you have, we did have to make a change to that resolution, and I forgot about that. In the copy you have, it says that those will be collected at the time the permit is issued. We actually don't collect the sanitation fees until the initial homeowner establishes those services. So we did make that change in the resolution that you'll sign, but it's not in your packet. I
It's
apologize.
in your additional material.
It's actually pays the tax time, right?
Not the
It's-
initial fee.
Right. The initial fee is paid when the homeowner establishes that service, not at the time of the permit, and then it continues on their tax bill.
So that fee to cover until tax season next year.
That's correct.
So we have a motion to approve alternative 1 with the addition that this is collected at the time homeowner
Establishes the service.
establishes the service.
Yes, sir.
So moved.
So moved by Mr. Burke.
Second.
And who's the second? Mr. West, all in favor say aye. All opposed, no. It carries. Consideration to approve a resolution to amend 2018-2019 budget.
So as you know, we are headed into the audit. We're wrapping up fiscal year 19. So you have a copy of the end of year amendment for fiscal year 18 and 19 budget. This amendment covers multiple departments and is an overall increase. The amendment is for items such as utilities, personnel, food contracts, and repairs. The funding is requested from additional revenues, fund balance, and contingency as indicated in the packet. Staff recommends alternative number 1.
And just more or less brings in compliance on our audit.
Yes, sir.
So we don't get.
Yes, sir.
One thing might be helpful is when we have these line items things, if we could do it by department as well. So if we just interested to see what department was under or over
Okay,
as a whole in the future, not.
I'll do that.
That's how our budgets are presented by department.
It is, yes, sir.
Any questions or discussions from the board?
Make a motion to approve alternative number 1.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Lopez, second Mr. Lopez, to approve alternative 1. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. It carries.
Thank you.
Number 7, consideration to approve the final plat and warranty deed for Park West Phase 4B, consisting of 21 lots located in North Sioux County, Road, Highway, Road, 419 parcel 2.
Thompson Hutton has submitted a final plat for Phase 4B of Park West. It consists of 21 lots. Engineering staff have reviewed the plat and inspected everything located there, and they recommend approval of the final plat. The bond has been reviewed by ELM as well, and the county attorney has reviewed the warranty deed. Staff reviewed the final plat and the checklist, and all documents are in order, and we recommend approval.
Any questions or discussions from the board? Hearing none, do I have a motion for alternative number 1?
Make a motion to approve alternative number 1.
Motion by Mr. Rodriguez, second by Mr. Floyd, to approve alternative 1. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. It carries. Item number 8, consideration to approve year 2 of the contract for classification and values for rural land timber with GMAS Incorporated.
Good evening, Fiona Charlton, purchasing agent. The county has a 4-year contract in place with GMAS for classifications and values for rural land and timber. The fee for last year was $25,200, which was approved by the Board of Tax Assessors and the Board of Commissioners. For year 2, the fee is $6,900 as the classifications and descriptions were completed last year. At their meeting on the 12th of August, the Board of Tax Assessors approved year 2 in the amount of $6,900, and they now request the Board of Commissioners approval. As the County Attorney has previously reviewed and approved before the contract with GMAS, and funding is included in the current budget. Staff recommend alternative 1.
Any questions or discussions from the board? Hearing none, do I have a motion for alternative 1?
Motion to approve alternative 1.
Motion by Mr. Burdette, second Mr. Floyd, to approve alternative 1. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, no. Carries. Item number 8, 9, number 9, consideration to approve a change order for property engineering for the Blue Jay Road waterline extension.
During the construction phase of the Blue Jay Road waterline extension, there was an unforeseen accident causing the project time to be extended, which in turn caused additional work for Parker Engineering, who were contracted to provide engineering services on the project. There were also items in the contract found to be unnecessary, so the attached change order was created to reflect both the additional work and the unnecessary work, resulting in a net reduction in the contract price of $2,582.50. As no additional funding is required and EOM have confirmed that the project is complete, staff recommend alternative 1, approval of the change order and approval to pay the final invoice to Parker Engineering. Any questions?
Recommends a reduction in that fee.
Without any change orders. Make a motion to approve alternative 1.
Motion by Mr. Keeper. Second. Second by Mr. Burdette, to approve alternative 1. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, no. Carries. Item number 10, consideration to approve an amendment to renew the fire protection service agreement with the town of Newton.
The county has a fire protection services agreement in place with the town of Newington, which covers a small area in the north end of the county that is not within a 5-mile radius of any county fire stations. All renewals of the agreement have been used up. This amendment is to renew from 2019 to 2020. The town of Newington invoices the county $400 monthly, which the county disburses from the fire fund. As the amendment has been reviewed and approved to form by the county attorney and funding is available, staff recommend alternative 1. Any questions?
Any questions, discussion, or vote? Hearing none, entertain a motion.
Motion to approve alternative 1.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Deloach, second by Mr. Deloach, to approve alternative number 1. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. And carries. Item number 11, consideration to approve a service agreement with ProCare Services for county's stretchers and Lucas devices.
The EMS department has 6 Striker Power Cap stretchers and 5 Striker Lucas devices, all of which are specialized equipment costing approximately $15,000 each. Therefore, it is essential to have a service plan in place to ensure they are well maintained and kept in good working order. The ProCare EMS Prevent Service Plan is for the stretchers. The fee is $7,842.10 for 1 year. The ProCare On-Site Prevent Service Plan is for the Lucas devices. The fee for the On-Site Prevent is $7,020 for 1 year. As the county attorney has reviewed and approved to form the service agreement with ProCare Services and funds are approved in the current budget, staff recommend alternative 1. Any questions?
Questions or discussion?
It's full service rental agreement basically with a service agreement.
Yes. Yes, sir.
Any other? Motion?
Motion to approve alternative 1.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Burdette, second by Mr. Logan to approve alternative number 1. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. And carries.
Thank you.
Item number 12 has been removed from the agenda, so we go to item number 13. Consideration to approve an engagement letter with Morris Manning and Martin LLP for legal services.
Members of the commission, the county seeks legal advice dealing with environmental law issues. We were recommended Gerald Pouncey, Morris Manning, and Martin to provide legal representation as related to the Atlas Mine project. This will be done as an as-needed basis.
Okay. Any questions or discussion? Have a motion to approve?
Make a motion to approve alternative 1.
Second.
Motion Mr. Floyd, second by Mr. Burdette to approve alternative number 1. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. And carries. Item number 14, consideration to approve an agreement with the Legion Circuit Public Defender's Office for indigent defense services for the fiscal year 2020.
Fiona Charlton, purchasing agent. The county has an agreement in place for indigent defence services, which it is required to provide per the provisions of Georgia Indigent Defence Act of 2003. The county's pro rata share, according to population of this year's annual contract, is $186,768.15 for salaries and administration, and $31,392 for operating expenses. There is no increase from last year. The agreement can be terminated due to non-availability of funds or for cause or convenience. It runs from July 1st, 2019 through June 30th, 2020. As funding has been approved in the budget and the agreement has been reviewed and approved by the county attorney, staff recommend alternative 1. Any questions?
Questions or discussion? Motion for alternative 1.
Make a motion to approve alternate number 1.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Latham, second by Mr. Deloach to approve alternative number 1. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Item number 15, consideration to approve contract amendment 2020-0821 with Coastal Regional Commission for the fiscal year 2019-2020 budget.
Christy Carpenter, Finance Director. The county has an existing contract with the CRC to provide congregate and home-delivered meals. The CRC has issued an amendment to that contract in order to reallocate the resources. They are decreasing the CBS, HCBS home-delivered meal funding by $10,000 and increasing the NSIP, state home-delivered meal funding, by $10,000. So the amendment itself is a net zero change. Staff recommends alternative 1.
Question or discussion? Motion for alternative 1.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Kiefer, second by Mr. Deloach for alternative number 1. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, no. Motion carries. Thank you. Item 16, consideration to approve a resolution to amend the budget for fiscal year 2019-2020. Did we do that?
Huh?
Did we do that?
We did just do that, but with the acceptance of that amendment from the CRC, we're asking to also amend the budget to make that reflection. It's a net zero change to the budget as well.
So, good, were you changing line items or something?
Line items.
Oh, okay.
Yes, sir.
Very good. You have a motion to approve alternative 1?
Make a motion to approve alternative 1.
Second.
Mr. Deloach, second Mr. Loper, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Motion carries.
Thank you.
And item 17, consideration to approve the first reading to amend article number 2, definitions, article 3, general provisions, and article number 5, uses permitted in districts of the Effingham County Code ordinances related to junk laws. And with this, the attorney has given me some direction on how I should move and not. So if you want to share what you shared, you recommend for us tonight to address this.
Sure, this will just be the first reading of the amendment, and then it's pretty self-explanatory here. What we'll try to do is between now and the next meeting, get the planning board to take a view of it. Ultimately, it's going to be the board's decision whether to amend the zoning ordinance or not. The planning board's an advisory board, and we'll take a look at it and put it on the next agenda.
That'll provide some additional input into all we've been looking at and doing. Okay?
With that said, bear in mind that this wouldn't go to the planning board until their October meeting, which I think is like 25th,
We're
26th.
going to try to see if we can get them to go in and have a meeting. We don't have to work through that after this meeting and see. We may not be able to do that. We'll try. But if not, we have to table the second reading until that's done.
Well, you still have your advertising time, your working day advertising time, so
What's the advertising days on this?
14.
Right, yeah. So we need to just look at that. Hopefully it can be faster than the middle of October, what we're getting at. So we don't have.
Okay.
Okay?
Well, what you're saying, it would actually be in November.
It would be November when you see it again. That is correct.
So we want to wait to do our second reading after they've had a chance to just have some input. But hopefully we can do that a little faster. That's what it is right now. So any other questions or discussions related to that? Do you have a motion to approve? Let's see. Yeah, alternative one. Motion to alternative one.
Motion to approve alternative 1.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Burdette, second by Mr. Keith for alternative one. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, no. And carries. And that'll be on for second reading after the planning board has a chance to review. I guess I need to be on the next meeting, and then we'll table it there and a chance to review. I'm not sure how that works, but you can help with the agenda. All right, that concludes our business. We have some time before we go to our public hearing, so let's go to our staff reports. Administrative staff.
Got no report, Mr. Chairman. No report, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, well, you get a regular report. I
What?
appreciate that. You get a regular report. and you-
Yeah, I get your daily reports.
That's been very good. I'll see if we'll come back to the commission, see if they have questions for you. Clerk?
The information I'm sharing is in your folder. Again, a reminder on the hospital gala, which is actually this coming Saturday. I have been informed by the hospital that they intend to recognize the commissioners at this event. They have tickets available for yourself and their guests at no cost to you for those that are interested in attending. And if you are interested, I'm kind of need to know right away because that is this coming Saturday at 6 o'clock, right across the street at the local memorial. Yes.
That'll be a nice evening. We'll be out of town. Well, I'll be there in a heartbeat. We'll be out of town.
You going? Okay.
Look at your calendar and see if you can be there.
Check with the boss.
I already told Marie.
All right, is anything else, Ms. Johnson?
Yes, your monthly report for ELM, that is in your folder. Reminder about the Legislative Leadership Conference that begins on October 2nd. We have a couple of commissioners attending that. Your report for August for animal control has been provided. And last but not least, the Georgia Trend magazine will be featuring Effingham County in its November edition. They are asking for advertisements for that publication. The details on the cost is in your packets there. What they have recommended is that some counties have done a collaborative advertisement, like with your IDAs, your chambers, your other cities. I put in an example for Wayne County of how they did their joint collaboration. So your deadlines for the ad space is September 27th. That's from quickly if you are interested in the ad. And the materials will actually be due to Georgia Trend on October 4th. Staff does recommend that we consider this, and I do understand it is budgeted.
Yeah, this is a highlight for our county. I would hope our manager and our folks in communication will.
Yeah, the full page is around $8,000, but since they're actually featuring the story on it, it's going to look pretty bad if we didn't do something, honestly.
Is the board okay with them moving forward? You have to move rapidly to get some professional help on how to.
And the IDA and the chamber have already agreed. Georgia Trend is reaching out to the school board and the municipalities as well. So I can, like I said, there are funds budgeted for marketing items like this, so we can use those funds.
I'll just add that if it's some way we can highlight the available areas we have for commercial and industrial development in this, place to not only live but to work and, all the infrastructure we're putting in. Somehow we can highlight that, not just quality of the community, which is great, but the opportunity for businesses who will be looking at these magazines. And 8,000 could well generate a nice customer. Sports authority would be great, wouldn't it?
IDA should be able to put together something like that.
Yeah, really highlight
Sure.
the opportunities that are here for industry and commercial.
Maybe share the cost with the IDA.
Yeah, he's doing it, IDA can change it.
And I think the $8,000, to clarify, I think that's color ad as well. I think if we did anything, I want to see us please do a color ad.
It'd be pretty cheesy, black and white, but beautiful.
Yes.
So I think you're here for the commission to move forward, and let's do a great job of communicating.
I will send you a copy of it when they have the proof.
That'd be great. Okay. All right. Anything else? Ms. Johnson?
That's it.
Any other staff reports tonight or comments? Let's see what the board of commissioners has, Mr. Lake.
I don't have anything.
Mr. Butch.
Yeah, I got two things. First thing, thank you to Chief Hodges on all the work with the back fire agreement. That has been a process, but I think that'll be good for everybody on that new agreement. So excited about that. Second of all, and you touched on this, Mr. Chairman, earlier about Courthouse Road. We may possibly move that. I have already spoken to two of the landowners that I believe if we do go to McCall Road, that the new road, Courthouse would cross them. They just asked, both parcels are kind of in plans of trying to decide what they want to do with the property next. They asked us if we can keep them in the loop. I think if we can tell them sooner than later, kind of an idea of what we have, I think that process may go a little smoother with the landowners.
Yeah, very good. Tim and I actually talked today at the transportation board meeting about what we need to get started on that. So it's a preliminary phase, but we probably need to go and get the engineering to start looking at some surveys, and where is it best to come in so we can do that and then communicate it with those landowners as we do it, because it's going to be very necessary.
Yeah, that's all.
Tim's got that note, so it's good.
I don't have anything. I appreciate staff, Clint, and everybody with the hurricane scare. At least you were prepared. And glad we didn't have that. Glad we were prepared. And it's not over yet.
Yeah, just a good start.
Mr. Burdette?
Really nothing this morning. I'm thankful for our staff, what it looks like everybody's saying, and thankful for the county manager. It's communicated very well. And I really, really appreciate that. It keeps me up to date with things, especially with busy schedules. You can tell how in depth he's already dug in and really pulled out on this, so to speak.
I'm pretty fascinated by what I said, you know where this is going, but you know how this written down, he's already got to get handle on a lot of the structures and things around, so yeah, we appreciate you. I really at your view. Thank you so much. All right, any other comments before we close? All right, we've got about 7 minutes to our public hearing time, so we'll take a quick restroom break and come back for our public hearing at 6 o'clock. We'll come back and see if there's a new executive session. Again, we're going to go down to our planning board public hearings. So first item is public hearing. Planning board recommends approving an application by Derek Jenkins to establish a rural business use for a basic mechanic shop to be located at 765 Zipwire Road. Excuse me, that number 374, parcel 26 in the first district. So we don't have our zoning administration, who's going to take that?
Yeah, I'm filling in for Diane tonight, Teresa County County Center. So this property is AR1, it is more than 5 acres. Mr. Jenkins, he actually owns both parcels. See where the red is? He has the one behind him as well. He wants to repair cars or vehicles in that property and has requested rural business conditional use. And since the property is on a paved road, is over 3 acres, and in fact, currently there's no building planned. But what it is, if there is one constructed, then he's aware of the 1,000 square foot limitation on the size of that building. Given all of that, staff have recommended approval, and the planning board recommended approval with the stipulations that are included here.
Okay, so they have to come back with the site plan, to start with the building, get all that approved.
Yeah, if there's any construction, certainly would come through the building permit process, and so all the setbacks and the size and everything would be considered at that time.
Okay, we'll open the public hearing and see if there's anyone tonight speaking for this request. No business use. Anyone here tonight to speak against this rural business use? Seeing no one, I'll close the public hearing, see if there's any question, discussion on the board.
Actually, after talking with Roger earlier, I do have some questions. They're saying 3 to 5 vehicles, but our ordinance specifies no more than 2. And also only 1,000 square foot total can be used for this one.
I'm sorry, can I speak?
No, sir, you have to wait.
Yes.
If there's a question for you, can't, because we already had the public hearing.
Okay.
You may have a question for you.
Okay.
Are you Mr. Jenkins?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm going to ask a question. You understand the ordinance? That total 1,000 square foot total can be used?
Yes.
Including your building and any vehicles on the
Yes.
property? And you requested 3 to 5 vehicles?
Yep, initially,
No, period, 2 total at any given time?
yes, when I first submitted that, I was not aware of the ordinances at that point. I was given a copy of that at the last hearing. So I am aware of the 1,000 square feet inside and outside, which includes parking.
Okay, and 2 vehicles?
Yes, sir.
Is fine?
Yes, sir.
Daylight hours?
Sir.
You didn't have any problem with neighbors, any neighbors turn out, any people turn out for this hearing at all?
No, sir.
That you're aware of? I don't have a problem with it, I just want to make sure you're aware.
Yes, I am. Yes.
What,
Oh, yeah.
Sure, any questions?
you said light duty vehicles up to heavy duty vehicles. What type of vehicles are heavy duty vehicles?
Semi-trucks?
Semi trucks.
Yes.
I don't think his ordinance allows for semi trucks. It doesn't list them anywhere.
I didn't see that in the ordinance for the rural.
If you look at it, it states what type of vehicles.
Do you have an idea what you're planning to do? You want to work on cars, you want to work on trucks? What's your primary business going to be there?
Trucks.
It's a small repair shops for appliances, machinery, farm equipment, or automobiles. It does not say anything about large trucks.
Farm equipment is, the same size as trucks. I don't know.
Not trucks. A big truck, commercial truck.
Well, I can understand that. We're talking size. Is this?
Well, now we're talking specificity. It doesn't allow for large trucks.
Well, it says machinery.
Primary,
Or what are you classifying as machinery on that? It seems a little generic.
I'm not, I hate to use this public hearing, he's going to ask questions.
Okay. Sure.
that's my concern. Is that we've got another similar order on the agenda that got put off tonight. And it looks like we're going down the same path.
We need to define what vehicles could be there, because I do see a little complication with 2 semi trucks sitting out there in the rural business.
This is mainstay business. There's nothing around them like that.
If the rural business application does not allow for that, you be careful, you don't approve it tonight.
Is this something we need to table and we'll do some investigating and find out how we want to do it? Or I don't want to deny if this is something that we can allow, but I'm in agreement too, because we're already running this problem in other areas.
Let's, if we deny that be a problem for you, let's table it tonight, that's okay. Let's look a little deeper into it, talk to our zoning commissioner who's not here, see what complications and issues that may or may not be able to permitted. Because if we deny it, it's a whole process. But if we table it, then we can come back and look at this in a couple of weeks from the next meeting.
Okay.
So I'm gonna recommend
Yeah, I would recommend that you ask just kind of a general data on what he's expecting on a day-to-day basis. What type of vehicles, size vehicles, how many vehicles are going to be there each day. Just kind of get some more facts from him on the type of business he proposes while he's here.
that's what it is. He said semi-trucks, he has to be working with semi-trucks.
But is that every day of the week? Because then you look at this ordinance and it deals with the character of the area that it's in. And I'm not sure that, working on semi-trucks would fit in that particular area, because doing that every day of the week. So I would just want to get more
You said you
information.
would not fit that.
I don't think it would,
Correct. I
for a
think-
rural business. I mean, it's supposed to be a business that serves the area in which it's located. Now, if he's working on neighbors' vehicles, I guess the perfect example would be if you're working on tractors and you're out in the country and you have 20 of your neighbors that farm and you're working on their tractors. That's kind of the perfect example of it. So I think just, again, if you want to get more information on where these vehicles coming from, how's the business being marketed, then I think you need more of that information while he's here.
So you're saying that the rural business opportunity should be, this is the indigenous to, serve the indigenous work to that community.
That's what the ordinance reads.
Okay.
It seems like we're getting away from the intent of the rural business semi-truck.
I think, how is this any different than having a business in a commercial district? It's just on a smaller scale.
Exactly, I would see something like that in an industrial park or something, or a retail.
So the question comes, do we want to have more research to get that information? You're telling us you're pretty much working with semi-trucks.
It's not limited to semi-trucks. I mean, there's automobiles as well, but I wanted to do the maximum that, yes, there would be semi-trucks on property, yes.
Do you have an idea of the ratio of big trucks to vehicles and when you get on the road, you do that? No, that's not set in stone, that you can only work on one.
Sure,
big
you're
truck every
exactly
6
right.
months, you know, so-
Yeah, and I'm trying to do 25 to 40% off-site, but I'm trying to be as legal as possible with the rural business because I don't plan on expanding business or doing all my work at that facility.
I think probably a good solution might be to do the large trucks off-site and do the 2 vehicles on-site. That might be the way we need to go ahead and table this deal and get a chance to review, look at it. Any comments, thoughts?
It mirrors.
Take a copy of it.
Okay. Let's take a motion to table and then let's get some more research. Do you have no questions, Mr. Jennings, before we table?
I'll be in touch. I may come over and just take a look at the site, get with you personally, just see what you're looking at.
Sure. Absolutely.
That'd be really helpful. That'd be great. I'd have a motion to table to, what's the next meeting?
October 1st.
To October 1st.
Make a motion to table this item to October 1st.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Floyd, second by Mr. Burdette to table this item to October 1st. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Carries. And with that, we don't have a second reading. Move to item number 3.
Mr. Chairman, I need to recuse myself from the next item on the property that butts up to the subject parcel, and the applicant is my home as well.
Okay. Just so that the record, Mr. Loach has recused himself and stepping down from the bench for this next item, number 3. The planning board recommends approving an application by Floyd Zettler to rezone 3.41 acres located on Sisters Ferry Road from AR1 to AR2, map number 386, parcel number 2 in the 3rd district. Give you the background or just?
Yeah, sure. There are currently 2 parcels. There are 3 residences on those 2 parcels. So the intention of the owner is to essentially combine them and resplit into 3 to sell the largest one with the home site as the downsizing. So the way we initially found out about this when Mr. Zettler came in with the plat, and we said, well, this is going to require some rezoning first, so that's why it's coming through for your review. And I have here's the plat that he presented us with. The planning board, staff reviewed it and recommended approval, and then the planning board reviewed it, and with input from neighbors, they did add a stipulation to the 4 that staff had developed, and that would be to ensure that the driveway be installed on Sisters Ferry Road. The parcel, let me see, this one here, currently residents access the homes through an easement, and other neighbors off that easement don't want to see increased traffic now that the families, it's going to be changing hands. So they requested that each home access Sisters Ferry Road if it's adjacent to Sisters Ferry Road. So these 2 parcels that touch on Sisters Ferry the request is, and that planning board agreed with the stipulation, that they should access Sister Spring directly rather than be using an easement and coming through
So attorney one would be to approve it with the planning board.
with the planning board stipulations, yes.
All right, I'll open a public hearing. Anyone here speaking for this rezone? I'll come next. Anyone speaking against this rezone?
Yes, I'm Valerie Everett. I share a property line with Mr. Zettler and my neighbor, which is also his neighbor, Alan Harvey. And on the plat that Mr. Zettler presented with his rezoning application, he does have a 60-foot access easement, which currently does not exist. The two parcels that he is trying to divide as 1 acre apiece also have renters on them. And so the current access that those renters have been using is straight through the middle of Alan Harvey's property, which used to not be a problem because it was all family land until Mr. Harvey purchased it 2 years ago, or going on 2 years ago. It was presented to me almost 2 years ago that Mr. Harvey wanted to close off that drive that had been there for years, and that he wanted to plant grass all through there. And so his solution was, in combination with Mr. Zettler, was that they would take that drive and push it out onto the property line of Mr. Harvey and my property. I do have a deeded easement to access 601 Sisters Ferry Road, and their solution was that his renters would now come down my easement and drive along Mr. Harvey's property line and my property line, which would be directly behind my children's playset, trampoline, where we play. I presented that to Mr. Zettler. I offered assistance in him creating his own access to his property. He declined. He offered to put in a chain link fence for me and my property, and I declined. So that is why it is so important, I feel, that if he's going to put the 60-foot access easement on his plat, and he does have roadfront property, that he actually put that there so that his two renters can use that access versus coming down the drive or the easement that I use and then along my property line. And the other question that I do have is, during the planning hearing, and I was here, he mentioned that he and Mr. Harvey had a verbal 1-year agreement that he could continue to have his renters access his property through Mr. Harvey's property until he could get the easement put in place. My question is, and it was a stipulation that was listed, that he would include the driveway within 1 year. So I do need to know when that 1 year began or when it will begin.
It should begin tonight. Is that all right? I mean, if it's okay tonight, then the year should start tonight.
Okay, well, let's hang around and make some questions for you, okay?
Okay.
See if anybody else wants to speak against it. We'll get the public hearing on it, and we'll start our discussion. Anyone else speaking against this tonight? See, when I close the public hearing, we'll have some questions for you. Am I understanding that, when I see that access easement, it does not actually exist?
No.
Correct.
It does not exist, it's not there.
Okay.
They go around
So,
like way
show me your property line. Can you help me with her property line where it is?
I'm not sure. Harvey is here. Are you over here?
All right.
I mean, I
see a
do
house
have-
there. There's, I see on our plat, I see a house right next to the easement. Who owns that property?
You
That's,
can look at that
That's
right there
his.
and kind of diagram to where yours is.
Yeah.
that house belongs to him.
That belongs to Mr. Zettler, and a renter rents that block home, and then there is also a trailer or mobile home that is directly behind that, which is the second parcel that he wants to parcel off. That also belongs to Mr. Zettler. But there is currently no access for either one of those residents.
So this is the access that he has now.
That does not
That is not
exist.
there.
It's not there.
It's his property, right?
It's
Correct.
his property, and that's what he's proposing to do, but he wants a year to
He
build
has-
that, and in the meantime, they'll go around and go through her property.
Correct. He has a separate driveway.
Oh, I got you. So we're talking about 1 year. Okay, I couldn't feel like he couldn't have his access on his property, but he can. The issue is, he's got to use yours for 1 year.
He would like to continue using Mr. Harvey's drive that they've used for years upon years until he can get this 60-foot access easement in place. But I will tell you, for 2 years, I have been watching and taking photographs of, Mr. Harvey in assistance with Mr. Zettler as they attempt to, pave a new way.
So show me real quickly, Tracy, where the access there. There's that house and that trailer right now. How's it access?
I have
She's better with this, I
I-
believe.
I have something here if you would like to.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure, because do you know his access? Yeah, we need to set his access. So, that's it.
Or actually, if you want to use this that came with this application, that's much larger. None of that's on the record. So here's the block house.
We're trying to see picture, we're talking here.
Okay, this is where he lives. This is his, and all of this is his in
And all of
here.
that is.
And this is a proposed, but he wants to be able to do it. In the meantime, he's going around to.
He's going, currently he's going through here, which this is Mr. Allen Harvey's property.
Got you here.
He's coming through here, and the trailer's going there, and you can see the drive coming right around here. So Mr. Allen Harvey does not want to come in with his middle property anymore. He's going to close that off. But the solution was, since there's no access to this lot home and this trailer, he now wants them to come down my easement. This is my home. He wants them to come down here, and he wants to go all the way around my property line. And if you can see here,
No,
if you can see
they didn't
here,
do it.
this is how I access my home. He now wants them to come down here, come along the back.
This is your property.
This is my property.
But no,
My
he
place.
doesn't decide.
The easement that I use, that y'all can see there for 601, is a deeded, documented easement that is for 601. Yes, the easement that I use for my home is a deeded and documented easement for 601 Sister Sterry Road. But they are proposing that they now come down that easement for Floyd's two properties, rental properties, and that they come along Harvey's boundary line and my boundary line. And so I've got
So you
photographs.
don't own it, you just have an easement.
I have an easement to that.
And
Correct.
the one who owns it wants to provide an easement to this.
Yes,
house.
Alan Harvey, yes, wants to add an easement for Mr. Zettler's, well, I say he wants to add an easement. This is just where they say the new route will be, that's all that I'm saying. But the new route will also now use this easement that I use to access my home, and it will travel along my property line and Mr. Harvey's property line.
To be completely off of his.
And pretty much, and then it comes behind my kids' place there, and I mean, you can clearly see where their, work has been done over the course of 2 years to try to move this traffic.
I understand. Expand for 1 year.
It just takes,
Let's get back to our mics and see that helps, so we can make sure it's okay.
Okay.
Then once you show us the sheet, I need more information.
Yeah, okay.
And I'll have these people to look at, we need to discuss it on the mic, so we make sure. Clerk on here.
So is the easement on your property or Mr. Harvey's? Or is it split on the line?
okay, the easement that Mr. Zettler has in his plat,
Yeah, the one that you
okay,
just-
the one that I just showed you is the property of Alan Harvey. It's his.
That's his property.
That's his property with the easement that I'm allowed easement to use to obtain access to my property.
Is there any reason that somebody else can't use
That's
that
what
easement if he gives him
I
permission?
need some legal clarification, Lee. The easement that she's using is on someone else's property that's given her a specific easement. Can we restrict him from giving an easement to someone else to use that?
Kind of a loaded question. There's a lot of issues. I mean, easements need to be expressly given. They're usually, depending on how it's written, a lot goes into this. So I have to look at an easement to see what you have currently. And then, if you own the property and you give me an easement and you want to give somebody else the rights across that easement, it has to be by separate agreement. Because, you still own the property even though it's an easement, it's your land.
Right.
You're just allowing somebody to drive across it. But it all depends how the easement's written. It could be just for that person only and nobody else.
But he would have the right, or she, whoever owns that property, to add an easement to it, right? Or change it, or?
Well, I mean, it would have to be in line with the ordinance of the certain width of the easement.
Correct.
But other than that,
setbacks and so
So
forth.
Mr. Harvey, he wants to do away with people going down his easement. She said he wanted to plant
Correct.
grass on that road.
Correct.
He wants to close that.
He wants to close off the drive that the renters have been using because he bought the property 2 years ago, and so and he was aware that the drive came through there, but he wants to close it off. He's friends with Mr. Zettler, and I think that they have made some sort of verbal agreement, as Mr. Zettler mentioned during the last planning hearing, that they're working together so that Mr. Zettler does not have to create his own access off of the road for his own renters, that they will just continue to follow close to the path that they have always done.
I want some clarification, because I think there may be two issues here. One is the subdividing, which it meets all the guidelines as far as the size of acres and so forth. And that's what's before us tonight. The second is how will they access that, which is probably not really an issue tonight, but I'm hearing that's something to be debated. We may not can allow them to do easement on setbacks. That's got to go through zoning, I would think, too, to find out. And there's so many facets to that, but the main question tonight is, can he subdivide this land? Not the access, am I right or wrong?
He already owns that 5.5 acres out.
So the question for us is, he wants to subdivide it, not subdivide it, but rezone. And that has nothing to do with easement. Am I wrong?
He's combining it all to AR2.
Correct.
Because BC no sale is tied up with that top place there with a little square in the middle of it.
Yeah.
All that's in one area. So he had to combine them so he could separate the one big square and leave that other acre there and leave the acre down here. That's the reason he's combining the two.
I understand why he's doing that, but my question still lies. One is rezoning. If he rezones it, are we landlocking anything? Is he going to subdivide it because of that rezoning, and then he has a right to cross people's property and keep the landlocked?
He's not landowning. He puts in his driveway. It'll go right up through both of his properties.
But it's not there now.
It's not landlocked.
You can speak as a public way.
State your name, please.
Jamie Deloach, I'm speaking to the board as a citizen. As has been stated previously, what my uncle is wanting to do is sell his property. Banking regulations will not allow you to have a personal residence, or a bank will not finance a property with multiple structures on it. So he has got to make this new parcel, take the mobile home off of it, so it's just a house on the parcel. So the question is coming in now with the access to the mobile home at the back of his property. The way I interpret our ordinances is, if you have county road frontage, you are supposed to come, your easement is supposed to come off of your property, and he has county road frontage. So my interpretation is, the planning board got it right. He needs to access this property, this mobile home, with how his survey is drawn out with the easement
Sister Ferry Road.
from Sisters Ferry Road. And I will state, I will add this piece in there. This is all my family land. It's been family for 100 years. And as Ms. Everett did state before, if they were to put that easement on her shared easement, I personally have a problem with someone going that route, going to rental property. The applicant has road access, county road access. He has the means to take care of his problem. And I think we need to keep the responsibility on the applicant. And
Yeah, I agree. I think it's-
so without creating too much Dr. Field issues within my family, I'll just stop there. So
Well,
that's just,
that's kind of what I'm looking at too, is that we have the issue of approving the rezoning, which I have a problem with. The easement's another issue, and that needs to be addressed, whether it's hopefully them following our ordinances or illegal because they don't follow it. But that's another issue, because I'm with you, they shouldn't be using an easement when because of
It's got property going in.
he's got property, that's where he should access it. And I would hope that zoning would, and we would hold their feet to the fire on those items. So,
Okay, I have a couple of things.
okay.
Okay, number one, the property that is being rezoned appears to be over 5 acres that should be rezoned. But the agenda shows that he's rezoning 3.81 acres, 3.41 acres. To do what he's doing, we have to rezone the entire 5 acres plus. We can't just rezone 3.41 acres. Further, the lot,
Well, stop right there so I understand. Does that mean we cannot change that to be the 5 point something nine? It's gotta go back?
you can't, yeah, because it's been advertised that way. So really can't do anything.
So why is the planning board recommending to approve this?
I think so.
I think that was a mistake, the advertising of the 3.41. I mean, Mr. Zettler came in several times, so I'm pretty familiar with this, and it was right when Diane started, so, but I am pretty familiar. He came in and explained it, and she worked with him to get the plat redone with easement. And
So
I
if
think
it's advertised wrong, well, you said we need to re-advertise this and do this again in 2 weeks or whatever. Is that what you're saying? All right, so I don't want to make it go back to the planning board. Can we table this to re-advertise?
Well,
Because it sounds like the planning board has information right, and you need the advertisement right.
so you're saying that the planning board advertised for the 5 point whatever acres and not 3.4?
Actually, no, this is, oh, wait, the letters that went out listed 5.4 acres. I'm looking at the ads. At 5.4 acres.
So
It
it's just
was
the,
The
advertised
ad was good.
correctly.
so it's just the agenda. that's
The
wrong.
agenda.
So it was advertised correctly, it was posted on the property?
It was posted, yes.
Yeah.
This is all good.
All right, so we can move forward. All right, so that's, what's the second?
All right, the second issue is the parcel that's showing the easement is, he's creating a non-conforming lot. So it's showing like 1 acre, there's 136 feet of road frontage. If it's being rezoned to AR2, it has to be a minimum of 100 feet of road frontage, which they won't have that if they put that 60-foot easement on that.
Well, we're not approving the easement now. We're just approving the rezoning. Because maybe when it goes through the other, they may have to move that easement onto his other property to get the right road, right?
That's where it should be, really, yeah.
That's what I'm saying, but that still doesn't affect. I'm just trying to understand.
It doesn't affect the zoning, but if he's gonna bring in a plat like that for them to sign, they're gonna tell him, you can't do that, you've gotta have variance. So he's coming back again.
Exactly, that's his issue. Ours is just to be rezoned from AR1 to AR2.
Fair enough.
And then, because I'm with you, I don't think that easement needs to be at the back of that house. I'm not sure if it's set back to there. So they've drawn an easement in. It's gotta be another issue another day.
What you're saying, if we approve it and we let him split it this way, he doesn't have enough road frontage for this next.
Well, like he's saying, if you're approving the zone, if the advertising is correct and you're approving the 5 point whatever acres to AR2, you're doing that. When he brings the plat in, if the plat's not meeting the requirements, they're not gonna sign it. They'll send it back, so.
What if he didn't have the property to the north?
What if he didn't have it?
Didn't he own that property to the north? I thought he owned both pieces of the house.
But he does, but that's what I'm saying, if
Yeah.
that was his only
He'd still have to
option
have,
and we approve the rezoning, what does that do?
he'd still have to have a variance.
I see.
So he's gonna come back for variance for an easement.
And then what if we don't give him a variance after you do it?
And,
That's what I'm getting
Put some on his
at.
property.
right,
You have to move it up.
I understand, but
He could-
I'm
he
just
could-
hypothetically, if he didn't have the property to the north, we rezoned it, and he come back for a variance and was denied a variance, what have we done? We've rezoned his property that,
We haven't heard him because.
I'm hypothetical.
Okay, look here. He's got plenty of land there, but he don't wanna use it. Where he's got that 60-foot right of way, he can move that thing that way, and he would not mess up that acre lot.
Exactly.
So he don't wanna do that because it's gonna take up some of his land that he wants to sell. But that's what he needs to do. He needs to move that thing 60 feet over, and then everything will work right.
You know, all I'm suggesting that the board consider, there's no reason that I can see that we can not, that we can deny it's advertised rights, the right acreage to R2. That's a way. The easement's another issue. He's got to come back for variance. We have to consider that another time. For us tonight is not an easement of R1 to R2. Is that correct?
And that's what he's doing.
And that's all we got to do.
And that big block up there, and the block on the back, it's already, it's that's AR1, but the AR2 is down here on the front, that's the one we combined.
So I hear what you're saying. I think the easement's an issue we got to deal with. But he'll have to come back because we can't give him permission to use that other land tonight. We're not doing that. All we're going to be addressing in this public hearing is AR1 to AR2. Is that correct, Mr. Lee? We're not addressing the easements tonight, giving any other access. We're just saying this land be zone AR2 is then applied for, to be denied.
And that's what you're doing, you're kicking the can down the road, but you can't give an easement to yourself. The easement's not going to come into play until he settles, and then there's going to need to be an easement on the plat. So if it's removed from the plat, when he goes to sell the property, he's going to have to revise it to show an easement in order to grant that easement to the person he's selling it to. And then at that point, it becomes, all right, where's the easement going to be located? So it's going to come back before you.
So we could, that could become a landlocked property legally.
Yes.
So do we need to table it to an appropriate easements placed on it?
Well, you can't give an easement to yourself. That's
It's his property.
This is property, all that's his property.
He splits it, he needs to do it right.
I know that you can, but it's two separate parcels.
But it's
So
all
who you give
connected.
an easement to, that's the question, right? You give it to yourself essentially, and the block, they merge, right?
Well, you get, what thought you give an access easement to everyone's property in the future? It's a determined access
Now,
easement.
because you have to give that access easement to the person you're selling it to. We have issues with this all the time about easements and where they came from and whether they were properly granted. And this is the problem. You're hitting on all the issues tonight. What should happen is when he goes to sell, an easement is established and is created by a separate document when he closes and sells the property. You sell your property, and along with that, you're granting the easement to the person that's purchasing it.
And at that point, we can deny an easement that doesn't give the appropriate setbacks and width and everything else at the time.
What happened is, you're talking about an easement, based on what we've done in the past, it's only going to serve one tract, one parcel, and that'll be a restriction, and I would recommend that it goes on the plat, as far as this easement's going to be 30 feet, if they need a variance to narrow it, and it's only going to serve one parcel, so no more future subdividing to use that 30-foot parcel to get on the, 5 or 6 other lots.
So to do this tonight, should we go ahead, since they comply with the requirements for rezoning, and take a motion on that and deal with the easement later? Or should we table it and deal with both of them at a time?
Stephanie said table.
What do you say?
If we so from what Lee is saying, right? If we did approve rezoning, couldn't approve that plat because it shows the easement. But the easement could be removed from that plat and it could be then approved.
Yeah, we can't approve that plat. We're not approving that plat tonight, it's my understanding. We're just approving the rezoning.
You're changing all to AR2 tonight.
So all we do
can
is, can't approve that plat, and they'll have to come back to us for appropriate easements and.
And he'll decide
access.
where he wants to put his road later on.
They can't be on her.
No, it can't be on hers, it's gotta be on his land.
Exactly.
So one thing I was unclear on was, did the easement go all the way through your property, or when they got a new easement, would they have to go on your property itself to access at that point?
The simple,
They're not using her property at all.
No, I mean, if
Yeah.
he uses this new part, she's saying that they'll come in on a new easement, and they'll go along your property.
there shouldn't
line.
be a new easement. There does not need to be a new easement. The simple, clear, obvious solution to this is that he has roadfront property or a block house of open behind it. He could just very easily take a bulldozer and some dirt and a culvert and throw it down and call it a day.
We get that, but you still have to have so much frontage and everything else has to.
He's got it.
To work, he's got it. But you said earlier that if they changed the way they came in, and they went in another easement, which somebody else owns, but they can grant that easement, they would have to come along your property line to finish getting where they're going.
Correct.
Is that property line an easement from somebody else that somebody else owns, or is that
No,
just your property?
it ends right at my
So,
property.
so they would physically have to travel along your property.
Correct.
If they did that. That's the problem.
And that
Or
property owner
exactly.
wants them to do that.
Right.
Both
And-
the roads in there, not on his property.
Exactly.
He's not giving them easement, they gotta come up with access.
Right, and if Alan Harvey were to sell, I think this is becoming an issue because Mr. Zettler and Mr. Harvey are friends. There's a friendship there, obviously, so they're trying to help one another. But if something were to change and Mr. Harvey were to sell the property, there is no way under the sun that the new owner would allow his two renters to come through the side of their yard to continue accessing his property. I mean, it's just null and
So I'm
void.
getting back to, we're simply rezoning AR1 to AR2. I don't see a reason why that, but the easement accesses, they don't need to be coming down that access. That's the property owner that says, that's his determination.
He don't have to put his own driveway in if he wants
He
to.
put his own driveway in, he's come back with a plat, we're not gonna record that plat of that access.
And she doesn't have to grant that to try to go.
Well,
that
she
way.
didn't say that's not our property.
Well, no, I mean, if they did what they wanted to do originally.
Right. Well, yeah. All right, so, do we, I see, excuse me, want to go to the microphone one more time.
Jamie Lodge. All right. Y'all have made this extremely confusing. He's got a 60-foot access drawn on his plat, on his property. So why can't he use that?
Well, you can't, but what they
We're
were
not
saying,
sure
you
it's
wanted to
compliant.
wait a year before you actually develop that.
But we had the motion, we
We're
don't
not sure
have
that's
to give him
compliant.
that.
But it's,
That's not was the whole issue. I mean, he's definitely got the land, he can do it.
if
everything.
zoning comes back and says that's in compliance,
We can,
We don't know that it is.
we continue.
Zone planning board has already
Why can't you just?
made that a recommendation to use that access.
Yeah, why can't we just approve it and have that as a stipulation?
Okay, but I thought y'all were saying we're not doing anything except approving the zoning from AR1 to AR2, and we're throwing out all the access easements. So that's what's throwing me off is if you're going to separate this parcel, I think you do have to identify how are you going to access that parcel.
Lee,
It goes back to the stage we're at. There's one owner that owns all three parcels, and he can access them any way he wants to right now. He would basically be giving himself an easement, and you can't do that, because all your parcels are hers, you're one, they've got one common owner. I know that the simplest way is to have an access easement there, and that would be great, but it affects that parcel that it's going across. Right now, it's 60 feet. I think that was going to make that one become non-conforming. So that's the other issue now is,
so
If
Lee, what
you're
you're
gonna-
saying,
if you're gonna-
he can go ahead and do his access how he wants to, but if he ever subdivides based on his zoning, he'd have to come back and get an easement.
if he ever sells the property, he has to give someone, whoever he's selling, an easement across his
Which was
property.
right now, if we put this, he can do an access, he can access how he wants to on his property. because he's got access to
But you won't do that unless you make it. It's, I don't know, it'll be an issue for the neighbors to deal with, because, and I'm just gonna leave it at that.
Can we leave that as a stipulation and approve it as is?
Lee, can we approve this with stipulation that he will access his property on Circus Ferry Road?
That's where he's supposed to, that's the way he's supposed to use it. But he don't want to use it that way.
We get table, I'm gonna make a motion to table this and let's get together with the owner and zoning and let's iron it out. We don't seem to get anywhere. Okay? I think we're gonna make a recommendation to table this.
Probably a good idea.
I thought it was a simple solution, but that seems to be. All right, so we have a motion to table this item.
So moved.
I lost where we're at. Number 7.
It's number 3.
Number 3, I think you have 3 and 4.
We're still on three.
Table until October 1st, 2019. Who made the motion? Floyd, second. Mr. Burnett, second. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, no. All right, we're going to table this and second reading as well. Get more information, see what we can do about the access items. Item number 5 and 6 have been tabled to 2015. And 2015. So we have item number 7. No, we need a motion, I'm sorry. I need a motion to table item number 5 and number 6 to October 1st.
Make a motion to table item 5 and 6 to October 15th.
Second.
The motion on Mr. Burnett, second Mr. Keeper, table to October 1st. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Thank you. So those are for table. So number 7, the planning board recommends approving the application by Terramore Development LLC to rezone 2.12 acres located at number 119 entitled Kildare Road from AR1 to B3 for commercial development map 422A, parcel number 25 and 26 and 32.
So included in your packet would be the proposed site plan, which I did not scan, I'm sorry to say. But the parcel is, as you see here, on 119 entitled Kildare Road. And I pulled in the zoning, just to see the adjacent parcel just north is already zoned B3.
So it's in character with the other zoning.
It's not out, yeah, it's
I'm
out.
going to open a public hearing on this, see if anyone wants to speak for this rezoning.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. Chris West, representing Terramore Development. I have with me Buckley Davis, also with Terramore. We're with the developer, who is, we develop retail commercial properties throughout the state. Dollar General Store is one of our best tenants. We're a preferred developer with them. This project is for a proposed new Dollar General Store that will be constructed within Clio to be 9,100 square feet. It will be built to code, and it will be sufficient with any transportation requirements. We had a good meeting with the Planning and Zoning Board last month, and there were one concern from the neighbor to the south, who I believe their concern was visibility to the store from their property. So we assured them at the last meeting that we would beef up our landscaping between the properties, and we have since amended our landscaping plan to do that. With that, we'd be happy to answer any particular questions that the board might have of us.
You answered the burning question, where the next Dollar General is going to come.
Buckley may be able to speak to that.
Is anyone else here speaking for this rezoning or not? Is anyone here speaking against this rezoning? Seeing no one, I'll close the public hearing and then give them maybe some questions. Any questions, discussion from the board? burning question that, Becky had a tree, where's the next dog? All right, do I have a motion to approve?
Make a motion to approve with staff and planning board recommendations.
Second.
Mr. Deloach, second, Mr. Logan, to approve staff and planning board recommendations, all in favor say aye. All opposed, no. Carries. Second reading, consideration to approve the second reading of application by Claremore Development LLC to rezone 2.12 acres located at Highway 119, Cloud Kildare Road, from AR1 to B3 for commercial development, map number 422A, parcel number 25 and 26 in the third district. Motion to approve the second reading.
Make a motion to approve the second reading.
Second.
Motion from Mr. Deloach, second Mr. Logan, to approve the second reading. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. It carries. Move number 9.
Thank you very much.
The planning board recommends approving a sketch plan for Allen Engineering Services, JWH Construction LLC for 154 lot development to be located at Ebenezer Road, map number 445, parcel number 26, consisting of 52.74 acres, currently zoned R6 in the 4th district.
Good evening. Excuse me, Toss Allen.
Finish up the public hearing.
I'm sorry, sir.
Go ahead, finish up the public hearing. Go ahead.
Well, thank you. I'm jumping the gun there. You want to go first?
Do we really have a public sketch plan? No. No? Okay.
I was just trying to get y'all home early, Chairman.
Yeah, do.
Thank you.
Toss Allen Engineering. This is the same property rezoned R6 in October of last year. At that time, there was a sketch plan presented for 108 lots. Since then, the properties went up for sale, and there's a prospective new purchaser for it. And their business model works better with 60-foot wide lots than the 80-ish that were in the other development. So in redoing it, it gets it to the 154 lots that we're looking at. Other than that, it's essentially unchanged. The roads have moved slightly. You can't really tell it by the sketch plan. It's made the lots deeper in the center between the two roads. And we did add one road east-west to comply with y'all's ordinance for block lengths. The ponds have shifted a little bit, the lift station, but other than that, the development is largely the same, other than there's more lots involved in it. We are in the process of reworking the construction drawings. Obviously, we'll have to go through that entire process again. Once they're done, they will be submitted to y'all's engineering folks for review, and EPD and DOT and all those as well. But with that, we're just asking for y'all's approval of this sketch plan.
Where's the road? Are they coming through the regular gate that you come through? Where they don't get to that property?
No, sir. This is actually across from the elementary school, and the proposed entrance to the subdivision will line up with the entrance to the elementary school, which is there's the elementary and middle school.
Yeah.
The main entrance to the elementary. When you come in, there's a lift station right to your left.
Okay.
It'll line up with that particular entrance. So it's to the east, I guess, of
It's
Ramsey.
back towards 21 from Ramsey.
Towards the river. Just the other way, towards the river.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, actually Ramsey, if you look on the maps to the left up here, so you see the elementary school and middle school at the bottom. The driveway will line up with the drive to the elementary school. Will be the main drive coming into the subdivision. And that location was previously approved by GDOT. We'll obviously have to go through that process again, but they just like things to line up.
All they done is change the lot size on the inside of where it was before.
Yes, sir, that's correct. Again, essentially the road layout and all looks the same. They made the lots narrower to get the additional lots.
Any other questions, discussion? We have a motion.
Make a motion to approve order number 1. Second.
Motion, Mr. Logan, second by Mr. Keeper, to approve alternative number 1. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Carries.
Thank you.
Number 10, the planning board recommends approving an application by Trevor H. to rezone 2.5 acres located at 823 Ebenezer Road from R3 with conditions to R3 without conditions, map number 466, parcel 35 in the 4th district.
So a little history, and it's a history, unfortunately. So this parcel was rezoned in 2006, I'm sorry, these two parcels were rezoned in 2006 to R3. Wait a minute. Yeah, R3. And there was a condition placed on it that townhouses would be limited, that the density would be limited to a total of 15 units, whereas usually in R3, you can develop up to 12 units per acre. And there were 2 acres, but there was a limitation placed that would limit them to 15 units. I looked at the minutes of the board meeting at the time. I looked at everything I could find, and I don't know why. There's no explanation as to why. So the current owners are looking to have that limitation removed, just so they can go freely and attempt to develop to the 1 acre parcel, which they currently have, to the normal density of R3, which would be up to 12 units depending on conditions. So if any of you know why it might be limited, that would be great.
So this is a rezoning, and you go from
It's really just removing conditions, but we had to run it through as a rezone, just as we do plan development text amendments. It's kind of an amendment.
All right, we'll spare some questions. We'll open the public hearing, see if there's anyone here tonight to speak for this rezoning.
Good evening, Joe Edge. Yeah, so basically, the way she explained that is my understanding as well. It was very unclear whether or not we could apply for, move forward with the density under the current zoning, because it was one owner at one point with 2 acres with the restriction on there, and at some point it was cut into 2 parcels with 2 different owners, but the restriction covered 2 parcels with 1 condition and 2 separate owners. So basically, what we were instructed to do was to go forward and, even though it's not exactly a rezoning, apply for rezoning just to remove the conditions, which is what we're looking to do. At the last meeting, a representative from Cobbleton showed up. They had basically questions more than anything, which we talked through. Once they understood what we're planning on doing, they had no issue with it. And the neighbor requested that we put an 8-foot fence up, which we have no issue with as well. But I'm happy to answer any questions.
Anyone here speaking for this addition? Anyone here speaking against this result? Seeing no one, I'll close the public hearing. So there's no questions from the board. Have a motion?
Make a motion to approve alternate number 1.
Second.
Motion, Mr. Weber, second, by Mr. Deloche, to approve alternate number 1. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. It carries. Second reading, consideration to approve the second reading of an application by Joe Rich to rezone 2.5 acres located at 823 Ebenezer Road from R3 with conditions to R3 without conditions met under 446 parcel number 5 in the 4th district. Motion.
Make a motion to approve the second reading. Second.
Motion, Mr. Loper, second by Mr. Ford, for the second reading. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, no. It carries. We removed item number 12 and 13 from the agenda tonight, so I believe that concludes our public hearing business. Is there a need for executive session?
We can do it next meeting.
Thank you, sir.
Good.
Okay. Seeing no need for executive session, can I have a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Mr. Burdette, who's on second?